Community School Corporation will hold a public hearing at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 at the Herman B. Wells Community Center, 510 Tiger Way, Lebanon, Indiana, to receive public comment on the 2026 Campus Master Plan project. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting school board corporation business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. Without further ado, let's go ahead and open this meeting up, and I'll hand it over to Mr. Oh, yeah, we can go ahead and open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Trey, do you want to do that for me?
Yep. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll go ahead and read the LCSE mission statement. Lebanon Community School Corporation challenges everyone every day to reach a new best. And with that, I think I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Klauser. As a reminder to the board, we are here this evening for a public hearing on, as you mentioned, the campus master plan. No action is required this evening. This is the introduction of the project and the financial implications of the project. And as you mentioned, we will close with an opportunity for the public to comment. As we begin to take a look through these slides, this is a master plan. Certainly some of the items within this plan are tied to one another. In other words, if we do a project, it would cause us to do another part of the master plan for reasons I'll explain later. Some of these portions of the master plan are truly unique and independent of anything else and could be done or not done and not affect any other part of the master plan. So this slide deck will begin at the Lebanon High School campus nearest to the high school, and what's displayed right here is the overall site. On the left, kind of current Google images as it exists, but then the proposed changes on the right. And so the first three aspects of the master plan are shown on the right, which is the conversion of the existing square footage of the auxiliary gym to a wrestling room, the addition of square footage for a new weight room, and then utilizing a portion of the current natatorium, but creating some additional square footage for a renovated natatorium. We'll start with the proposed natatorium improvements. Currently, we have a 6-lane pool that's oriented north-south in the current square footage of the high school. 6-lane pools are uncommon. 8-lane pools are what most competition pools are. In order to achieve that, however, the pool has to be rotated 90 degrees to the right, and the pool has to be extend into the current bus lot. That would feature 8 lanes, a diving well with 2 springboards, and 2 warm-up lanes are proposed. Again, these are all current proposals. This is obviously not defined scope that would be in any way ready to go out for bid, but just a conceptual proposal. 450 spectator seats that are elevated off of the pool deck with some restrooms and concession space, as well as a wet classroom, which is think of it as an instructional space for any type of lifeguarding or things of that nature. Certainly would be a hospitality space if we were to host any type of conference meet, tournament, sectionals, things of that nature. This would include a full gut and redo of the mechanical equipment of the space, as well as all of the HVAC equipment. At this moment with the pool and with the state of the mechanicals and the age of the mechanicals, we are approaching a point where our current pool is no longer able to be serviced, and within the coming years could potentially be faced with a decision to potentially close that facility, as parts for repairs just simply aren't manufactured anymore. Service companies refusing to work on it simply because the age and not being able to guarantee their work. Just to the north of that is the proposed new weight room space. We've talked about our existing weight room, which was formed as part of a renovation of the old auto body shop where oil changes and things of that nature would take place. As a result, roughly 50% of the floor space in the current weight room is on crawl rather than slab on grade, which caused some structural concerns in place for adding additional weights on that portion of the floor. We are currently limited to roughly 50 students per class due to the number of racks that can be placed on structurally sound flooring in that space. We are learning that a lot of students are requesting that, certainly more. The demand is higher than 50 per section. This additional space allows us to have a sound structural ground to add racks, which again is where the majority of weight training takes place today, as those racks serve as squat racks, benches, clean. It's all kind of centrally located around those racks, sort of that you see there in the lower right-hand picture. You see some storage space there and then office space for our teachers of that class. As I mentioned earlier, the proposal is to utilize existing square footage in the auxiliary gym as the Student Activity Center presents our opportunity for additional gym space. That allows us to reimagine what to do and how to use our current auxiliary gym. I know the board is aware that the current wrestling room is in a mechanical mezzanine directly above the auxiliary gym. We have a thriving wrestling program both for boys and girls at this high school. Currently the girls have to practice behind the bleachers in Rosensteel when they are pulled forward. Furthermore, beyond the high school utilization of this facility, we have quite the robust wrestling club for children as young as 4 years old. I'm told, not witnessed it personally, but I'm told at times as many as 100 young people are crowded in that wrestling room for club, and the space has proven to be inadequate. You're looking at roughly 3.5 full mats there in the auxiliary gym, with wrestling offices both for the boys and the girls coach, as well as an additional office. Again, it's labeled athletics office. What we use that for, again, it depends. Can't have too many office space. The unique thing about this proposed facility is its utilization both as the practice facility but as the competition facility. So any of us that are familiar with preparing for a wrestling meet usually means rolling the mats up in the wrestling room and moving them to a basketball gymnasium to host a wrestling meet. You'll notice on the right side of the screen there, we've got some retractable bleachers that represent 8 rows for 336 seats to host a meet. And so our wrestling teams would simply just extend those bleachers and have their meet in the same place that they have practice. Moving on to the next aspect of the master plan, and that is the outdoor space to the north of Lebanon High School. This will include stadium improvements, as well as some proposed site work up by the administration center. Zooming in on that, the proposal is the elimination of our 6-lane track. Much like our 6-lane pool, our 6-lane track prohibits us from hosting anything more than a dual meet. We're approaching 20% of our student population, or almost 200 student athletes that participate in track and field on the girls and boys side. And we are unable to host more than a dual meet. Dual meets are less and less common with track and field simply because the inability to get races, experience, reps, things like that. Much more common to have 3-4 teams and even invitationals. That's not possible at our track due to the number of heats of each race that would need to be run due to the loss of those 2 additional lanes. The elimination of that track allows us to replace our existing bleachers that are showing their age. I believe those are original to the school, as they are the old angle iron and footings that were installed when that field was made. Also, when those were constructed, the pitch of those have made it such that the viewing angle generally has you looking more at the back of the head, at the person sitting in front of you, as opposed to the field. And I think that is causing some folks to choose to stand. And we have 3 and 4 rows deep of fans along the fence. So proposed, we have a 3,500 seat home side with a new press box. We have a 1,000 seat visitor side. Unique to this facility here is a situation that we found ourselves in where code has moved forward, and obviously, you know, the facility has not, which is fine. We're not, I won't say we're out of compliance, but we are out of code, but we're grandfathered. Simply replacing the bleachers at any point, if it were to be like for like, we would likely be faced with a requirement to bring the facility up to code. And what I'm referring to is the number of bathroom fixtures. There are currently not enough bathroom fixtures in our current concession stand and restrooms for the number of seats in the facility. That is defined. That is 50 fixtures. One fixture for every 50 males and one fixture, I believe, for every 35 females. I don't know if that's exact. It's different, though. And we are not currently meeting that with our current space. So even addressing these with a like-for-like replacement, let alone increasing the capacity, would likely come with the expectation that we address the bathroom fixture requirement, which is the yellow rectangle that you see on the north end of the field. As I mentioned earlier, kind of the interrelatedness of some of these projects. We've yet to talk about what happens to the track. Where does the track go? That yellow rectangle, that new building where the restrooms would go for code purposes, cannot fit in that D zone there, what they call the D zone between the end zone and the curve. So there's a bit of connection. It's difficult to meet those code requirements while keeping the track and field at that current location, regardless of our desire to have an 8-lane track versus a 6-lane track. Meeting the code requirements for this facility in the long term is daunting. Here we have proposed, again, being a master plan, these are items that don't necessarily have to happen or happen right away, but proposed is an additional turf practice field that could serve for youth football, certainly practices at the high school, of course, for football or other sports, but the band as well could have a permanent place to practice there. So included in this project would be a permanent band tower rather than the one on wheels that we currently have. As you think about adding that space and perhaps community participation in that space, parking becomes a bit of a concern, and that's why the proposed increase in parking spots there at the administration center. What's difficult to see is this little yellow triangle here along Grant Street, but what that represents is visitor ticketing. And so with the plan to have visitors park at Lebanon Middle School, they would then enter from the northeast part of the facility, whereas the home side would then enter at the southwest. This keeps kind of a separation of those fans and makes ingress and egress from this facility more efficient for the spectators that are attending. This zooms in on the proposed facility a little bit more at the football field and what that may look like without the track. Here is a proposed floor plan of that additional restroom space, utilizing that opportunity to house the visitors on the north side. Currently, where our visiting football team is housed in terms of a locker room for game day is within this building, and it presents issues. It presents issues for keeping the two teams away from one another. It presents issues for access to the locker rooms. So again, by providing this northern outbuilding allows us to bring visitors in from the north, but also keep the visiting team to the north as well, and certainly being able to park those buses that usually reside in our swim lot in the admin lot, and truly keeping the visitors separated in that regard. You see the restrooms, a proposed hospitality room that again, doesn't need to happen, certainly could reduce the square footage of this facility to eliminate that hospitality room, and then also the concession stand. There are some facilities that have concessions for visitors and concessions for home team. Again, doesn't have to be something that we do, but just proposed here as something that's been happening at other places. Kind of one final overview there of everything that we are talking about. Moving to the north of the middle school is where the master plan then addresses the track and field that would need to move, but also baseball, cross country, and then some improvements for the soccer facility as well. So zooming in on this more, up and to the left there, so the northwesternmost part of this is a new track and field. There is a turf interior. I don't expect anyone to recognize that lining layout for that turf field, as flag football is not a common sport yet, but girls flag football is the emerging IHSAA sport. They are already playing in some places. Lebanon is likely to gain a girls flag football team, and so this would be their practice space. It is a fall sport, okay, so practice for that sport becomes challenging, obviously, because football is a fall sport as well. But what you see there is an 8-lane track. Obviously, to the very north there are our throwing sectors, the discus sector throwing to the west, shot put throwing to the east. Moving directly east, you see a natural grass JV baseball field, and then moving ultimately to the west, ultimately to the east, that last ball field is a varsity diamond that would be artificial turf. As the board knows, we play varsity baseball at Memorial Park. That park is a city asset. The city has been a fantastic partner. That is, however, their asset, and should they ever find a need for that asset, I know that they would give us plenty of warning, but it is their prerogative to no longer extend us an opportunity to play baseball there. Then what you see is a rather large parking spot, 350 parking spaces, and that's because that becomes the parking lot for all sports that take place, shy of softball, at our Northern Athletics site. The board knows that our soccer parking becomes quite cramped and quite limited with the current parking that we have just to the north of the middle school. That is currently the laydown area for the middle school renovation project, but that's scheduled to be returned to grass, and that is where folks park for soccer games. And so by providing this parking lot, this gives us a central, suitable, appropriate parking opportunity for all sports. We can see these lines that are meandering through the field up here. That is a 3K cross-country course, and 3K is the distance that middle school runs, and then the 5K course, which is the distance that the high school runs. And so future slides will highlight those specific courses. And then finally, 2 points of ingress and egress for vehicular traffic for this. One right off of John Bart Road there to the east, and then we would also provide a meandering point of ingress to discourage excessive speed from vehicular traffic navigating this, but this would go right up Grant Street, past transportation, past grounds, and then meander into the site that way. This would be a safe and secure environment, and so what you see now shaded in would be fenced in. Everything would be completely fenced in. Currently, our existing JV field down to the south, there are points that the fencing is not complete, and it presents some site security issues. So this project would address that by fencing in all of our assets at that point. They've shown some ticketing opportunities, and I'll zoom in on the building here to show that for, again, every sport but softball. We obviously will retain our current softball ticket booth there that was constructed in 2023. Zooming in further, we get a closer look at what I was talking about. One more will actually take us into this outbuilding. So currently, all athletes that participate in sports, outdoor sports, other than football and tennis, I call them traveling athletes. Their cleats, their practice gear, things of that nature are brought with them every day in a backpack. There's no point for them to utilize they have lockers here at Lebanon High School, but there's no point to utilize those because their participation is not located at Lebanon High School. It's closer to the middle school. So this proposed building would serve as our ticketing and concessions for all of our facilities to the north, but it also provides locker room space. In the fall, we would have locker room space for girls and boys soccer in this facility, as well as girls and boys cross country. In the spring, we would then have baseball, track, and softball with locker room space in this facility. There are restrooms for spectators, and these will be the restrooms for all spectators, including those at soccer. I mentioned cross country. I mentioned concession stands, and then as well as a smaller athletic training room, because obviously that's a long way away from the athletic training rooms here at the high school. Here you see the middle school course. So it just kind of meanders a little bit, goes just beyond track, and then makes it back. To pick up the extra 2,000 meters, they have to go all the way down and make a loop around the existing JV field. And they would come back to a finish line archway, and both courses would finish at that archway. Zooming in on the track specifically, there is your 8-lane track. Architects are currently modeling 2 pole vault pits. Again, do we need those? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but that's a significant difference in price. The reason they do that is depending on which way the wind blows, pole vaulting on a given day is better. Pole vault, I assume, with the wind. I'm not completely sure. Number 4 shows long jump pits. 9 obviously is that flag football field for girls flag football. 7 would be 1,000 seat spectator seating. Over to the right, you see discus being thrown directly due west, and then 2 shot put rings throwing due east. Modeled in this project is a post-tension substrate for the track. Post-tension concrete comes with a 50-year warranty. Our current track does require patching as soon as every 3 to 4 years, just due to the substrate and its shifting nature. Varsity baseball, again, turf, varsity field, bullpens, batting cage, bleachers behind home plate, very similar netting to our varsity softball field. The backstop won't be entirely chain link fence. It will be a concrete half wall and the netting that you see at our softball field. JV is the identical field except in grass, and then no batting cage, as the batting cage will just be at the varsity field, and a much more modest seating arrangement directly behind home plate. That is the extent of the master plan, and I will relinquish, Mr. Martin, back to you for the agenda. For the financial parameters, the maximum par amount of the bonds for this project would be $87,695,000. We are listing anticipated interest rates anywhere from 1% to 7%. We go as high as 7 for our legal requirements. To give the board context, if these were issued today, they'd be issued under 4% with interest rates as they sit today. The net impact on our non-exempt debt service rate would be just under 16 cents. Now, when you factor that in to our dropping operations rate as well as capital referendum rate, this project, it is believed, and again, the reason I say believed is tax rates are a function of assessed valuation, and we don't know what those are on any given year. But this project would return us, the board is aware that we dropped to 86 cents this year, 11 cents drop over what our historical rate has been in the 97 cent to 99 cent range. This project would return us to that historical tax rate that we have seen over the past 3 years, until obviously this year where we had that large drop. The maximum annual debt service as a percentage of net assessed valuation is 0.79%, and our direct and overlapping percentage of debt as a function of net assessed valuation, that includes the debt of all the units that we overlap, so cities, towns, townships, things of that nature, 13.35%. Those are parameters that we have to share at this meeting. So at this time, that concludes my portion of this. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have before turning it over to you, Mr. Clauser.
What's the cross-country course construction there? Is it just going to be a mowed path effectively?
So all of the non-developed portions of that field would be grass, and then they plant native grasses and allow them to grow, and then you mow the path to meander through them in the cross-country course.
Locker rooms, did you talk about girls flag football, cross country? Will they have anything over there eventually? Okay.
No, so cross country in the fall with
Soccer.
girls and boys soccer
Yep.
on one side, and then cross country obviously is a much more limited sport in terms
Sure.
of participation.
Numbers.
So we believe that flag football could be commingled with
Perfect.
cross country in the fall. There.
Somewhere over there.
What sort of, I know you mentioned specifically the club program for the wrestling program. Do we have anything like that for swimming, cross country, other avenues to utilize some of these facilities for people in the community other than just, when we're not obviously using them ourselves?
So the Big Four Swim Club, which features mainly Lebanon and Whitestown families, but we do have some Western Boone families that participate in the Big Four Swim Club as well. I've actually had a meeting with the president of the Big Four Swim Club. Obviously a very welcomed topic of conversation for him. But yes, in addition to wrestling, club-wise, swimming is the other big one. In terms of athletics, and yes, Big Four currently uses our facility and was optimistic and gracious at the potential for this one.
There's also the running clubs now at the elementary schools that have been doing it as well.
No part of it as well.
Yeah, my daughter does that at Perryworth as well.
Beneficial
Good.
to provide that.
The city has used the pool as well for different programs that they might have. And
For swim
Golden
lessons,
months.
I believe, as well.
right. So
Yeah, and
we got a
that's
great-
and
we
that's
got a
kind of what I
great
was asking, if
relationship
there's
with
other
them. Yeah.
avenues there.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything further.
One final thing, timing for this. Okay, if the entire project, all parts of the master plan to go, at best, this is a 27-month build out, and the reason that's relevant is when I share the $87 million number, that's not issued all at once. What 27 months does is it would be 3 consecutive fall issuances to cash flow this. It's a very similar approach that we've taken on every single other project that we've done. And what that effectively allows us to do is know what it costs, know what the bids would be. The reason I bring that up, the middle school originally was a $110 million authorization. We only issued just shy of $106 million of par bonds. It allows us to leave some of that on the table and not issue it. Same with the renovation of the preschool and the high school, originally a $65 million authorization. Completed the S&P call today to issue the second and final cash flow issuance on this. Currently believe that we will be at $5 to $6 million of that authorization left on the table and not issued. When you factor in interest earnings on that par amount of the initial and second cash flow issuance, it allows the third one to truly be a trued-up issuance, and you issue what you need, often resulting in a lower amount par issued than the project authorization that's shared this evening. So again, worth noting that if all of this were to go in sequence, because of how it has to happen and how I said some of them are intertwined, at best it'd be 27 months starting in March of 27 for a finish in July of 29. Is how that would look. So that's now that's all.
So
I
you
have.
say construction wouldn't start till March of next year?
Correct. The amount of site work here, drainage, approvals, things of that nature to give us, if we didn't have the winters we had in Indiana and site work could be done on wet, sloppy fields, probably could be ready for November, December, but that's just not a time anyone wants to be pushing dirt.
Is there a thought on the rollout phasing of pieces? I assume the north stuff would be the top priority because it's in the easiest, you can't do the football field, so. And then the high school stuff would be the tail end, or, I mean, not.
So the current plans for the current project is the auxiliary gym will be our cafeteria here for the second semester of next school year. So it would not be then available for the renovation into the wrestling gym until the summer of 27. Again, when you think about the two additions as part of this project at the natatorium and the weight room, those are technically independent of one another. However, there is economy of scale to doing those together because every mobilization of a steel company, a site work company, they pay you to come and go. And so there is economy to be achieved by doing those at the same time, but they don't have to be done at the same time. But you do earn some efficiencies with your trade partners when you make things convenient for them.
All right, I don't have anything else. Any other questions? All right, I think that'll take us to public comment section of the meeting. Anybody wishing to speak? Welcome. If you could, please just state your name and where you live.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Aaron Smith. I live at 2625 Countryside Drive. First of all, I want to start with a question. Anticipated price of the project is $87,695,000. Did I hear that correctly? Yes. $87 million project. We have one person attending public hearing. Now, the first part, I see this presentation as being two parts. One part was the presentation of the facility plan. The other part was the presentation of the financial part. I had some background anticipation of the facilities part of this presentation because I took the initiative to send an email to Dr. Millman asking for a presentation of what this is. He directed me to a previous meeting of this board where an attachment to that previous meeting was the facilities presentation. So I was a little bit prepared for that. When you went on your website, you couldn't find that directly anywhere. I had to know how to drill down because I made an extra special effort. I was completely unprepared for the financial part. And I want to share the opinion there that this failure of a one-person public hearing is partly because you didn't make a satisfactory effort to advertise the importance and the breadth of what's going on. I saw no newspaper articles. You had to drill down to find out the facility aspect of it. And I'm not ready to speak to the financial aspects because I haven't had time to finish analyzing it. Something about a 16-cent rate increase is what I heard. I don't exactly know what that means. Little passing comment about, and of course, there's this thing about assessed values, and it somehow sort of impacts the bottom line of the property tax payments. I have a concern that doesn't seem like a whole lot of people have a concern. Dr. Millman has been good over the years to share with me updated information on free and reduced price lunches. Last time I asked him for information, it was right at 50%. Now, and like I say, I haven't analyzed the finances because I haven't had the chance to look at all the information, but if there's going to be some property tax increase, that'll be passed down through increases in mortgage payments and rent payments, which will impact negatively 50% of the student body families. There's been a lot of moaning and groaning and upset on school board members' policies about Senate Bill 1 impacts. But this is sort of a stereotype indicator of why our legislators felt to pass the property tax decreases, because these are extraordinarily nice athletic facilities. They're not instruction expenditures. And like I say, I haven't finished thinking my way through this because I'm not fully prepared for this public hearing comment, but I didn't want you folks to go without somebody from the public stepping up. So thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, and again, there's no action to be taken tonight. This was the first meeting, so thank you for your comment, sir. I don't believe I see anybody else for public comment. So without any